WNBA. Let's just be honest. I'm not going to be offensive when I say this. WNBA, NBA. Who watches what? Who makes more money? Women's MMA, sure, have women's MMA. Have it a thing. I don't like to watch it. I don't think most people like to watch it. If the females MMA were to separate from a male MMA, no one's gonna watch it. No one wants to watch it. Just what it is, man. I don't fucking know what to tell you, dude. And it is what it is. Like, why is that a bad? Like, again, do you want to watch a sports car race a fucking Honda Civic? No, you want to watch a sports car. There is a vast difference between men and women.
All right, guys. Today I'm going to talk about a little bit of sports, and in this case, the UFC. That clip you saw was of Sean Strickland. He's the UFC middleweight champion, and that was from a press conference that they held before their fight, which is tonight, Saturday. A woke, liberal sports reporter wanted to ask a question, raised his hand, stood up, and began to ask the ridiculous questions about how Strickland feels about the LGBTQ community. It's a sporting event. The LGBTQ community has zero to do with the UFC fight. Okay? But that's what they do. They gotta poke themselves into everything. They can't help themselves, so they gotta mess with fighters now. I'm gonna show you the rest of that clip, and then we're gonna talk about it some more.
Sean, we were talking before about how you have so much respect from your teammates, from peers. You said you've had great interaction with fans pretty much all the time. I did want to ask, you're in Toronto. Welcome. Glad to hear it. It's been great.
Are you Canadian?
Of course I am.
Are you part of the opposition? Are you?
I don't know how to phrase that.
You got like, yeah.
Well, I did want to ask.
Did you vote for Trudeau?
I'm not going to say.
And let me tell you something right now. If a man says he's not going to say, like, if you ask a motherfucker, did you vote for Biden? He's like, well, I'm not going to say. That's none of your business. He voted for Biden.
Sean,
so hey,
Sean, I'm glad you've had great experiences.
So this is what I'm talking about, you guys. The enemy of Canada.
Sure.
All right.
That's what it's got to be. It's got to be. We've got a pretty supportive gay and lesbian community in this city. I did want to ask you about something you wrote a couple of years ago. You said if I had a gay son, I would think I'd.
Oh, look, another. I'm saying to you, the swamp, you guys, the swamp.
You become a champion, you become a star, and someone says.
Let me ask you something. Are you gay?
Have you had the chance to interact with a more diverse?
Are you? Let me know. Are you gay?
Could I get an answer?
Well, no, I'm asking. This is a part of. Are you a gay man?
I'm an ally of the community.
Okay. If you had a son and he was like, you had a son, he was gay, you'd be like, oh man, you don't want a grandkid?
No problem with it.
Oh man, well, dude, you're a weak man, dude. You're part of the problem. You elected Justin Trudeau. Like, when he sees the bank accounts, like, you're just pathetic. And the fact that you have no backbone and has he shut down your country and seized bank accounts? You ask me some stupid shit like that? Go fuck yourself. Move the on, man.
That doesn't really answer the question, but I do.
And there you have it. Strickland was having none of it. He basically destroyed that reporter, which in my opinion was well deserved. You are there for a fight, a championship fight, and you decide to ask this man about the LGBTQ community. They do it on purpose. They do it because they see if they can get a rise out of these athletes. Before I continue, I want to thank everybody for tuning in. And if you will, like this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel so I can continue to bring you stories like this. We're going to talk about now the Dan Le Batard show. And I spoke about Mr. Le Batard before. He is a very, very woke sports person who has this podcast, whatever he does. And they weren't happy about how Strickland acted or what Strickland said. And they had a complete and utter meltdown. So the Dan Le Batard show, I spoke of this before, is a very liberal, woke sports show. And the people on there had an absolute meltdown over what Strickland said. Absolute meltdown. Just look at the name, Le Batard. You can see where I'm going with that. I would change it, but I'm going to try to be a little nice right now. So we're going to watch this video, and I'm going to stop it periodically, and throw my 2 cents in. So let's get into it.
Sean Strickland is the middleweight champion in the UFC, Stugatz. And this sport, and I've said this before, this sport is the gutter. It is a very bad, ugly business, and it is now being run by a person in Dana White who allows all of this to go on and takes the lane of profiting, of allowing his champion to speak this way in it.
Okay, we'll start here. Mr. Lebitard says the UFC is the gutter. It's a bad and ugly business that's run by Dana White, who profits off of allowing his fighters to speak that way. Look at the man who's saying the UFC is the gutter, is bad and ugly. Look at him. Why do you think he's saying it? He couldn't for a million years do anything close to what UFC fighters do because they are professionals, jiu-jitsu masters, wrestlers, boxers, you name it. And Dana White is not going to tell his fighters what to say or what not to say because he believes in our rights as Americans and our right to freedom of speech. Okay? He shouldn't have to tell his fighters what to say and what not to say because they have their own opinions.
In a press conference where he's wearing a shirt, I believe the shirt says women in the kitchen and guns in every hand, I believe is the shirt that he is wearing. And then listen to how he responds. This is a champion, Stugatz. This is a
women in the kitchen and guns in every hand. What Mr. Lebitard fails to understand is not only are these men professional athletes, they're entertainers. They're trying to draw attention to themselves, be it negative or not. That's what they do. So he put that t-shirt on because he knew he was going to trigger somebody and he was going to bring attention on himself because they're trying to make money. They're a brand. It's a t-shirt with words. Well, good old Lebitard can't understand it. How dare you? How dare you wear a t-shirt with words on it? They may trigger or offend someone.
Of your sport. The sport does not have that many stars at the moment, and this guy is one of your champions. And I simply cannot imagine in football, in baseball, in basketball. I mean, hockey has an undercurrent of some of this, but it's not like this.
Hockey has an undercurrent of some of that. And what Lebitard means by that is about a year or two ago, some NHL players had refused to wear the rainbow colors or the pride flag colors during pride events, and they cited their religious beliefs. And basically the entire country, all the libs, if you will, went nuts. They don't respect their community. They don't support them. They're transphobes. They're bigots. No. If they have religious beliefs that they don't believe in that lifestyle, they have every right not to wear the colors of the pride flag. There's nothing wrong with that. But these people can't understand it. Everyone's got to get involved and everyone has to participate. Well, the NHL, after that, changed their policy to where if they hold these pride nights and events, which they should, I could care less. But the players are not required to wear it if they choose not to. That's how it should be. It should be personal choice. You shouldn't be forced to do something you don't want to do. But again, you can't tell people like Mr. Lebitard that.
Cannot imagine a modern athlete champion in a sport that people are covering like it's a real sport, talking like this without a reaction from the public and a backlash.
This guy couldn't fight his way out of a wet paper bag.
We do this with Colby Covington. This is really like also the only way we approach.
And this man right here is Michael Ryan Ruiz, and he had a bigger meltdown than Lebitard did. Okay, because again, they got nothing else to do. They need to get coverage. So they're going to bash a UFC champion for words because they were triggered and they were offended, and how dare they spew such hate speech. It's not hate speech. It's how Strickland feels, and he should have the right to say how he feels.
Mixed martial arts, and it's not that interesting of a topic to me. It's like, how does Dana White allow this? We
It's
know
not
where
interesting,
Dana
but
White's
he's talking about
politics
it.
reside. He's spoken articulately, honestly, on why he allows this stuff. The fact that we played that clip, which I agree, Chris, that's as hateful a clip as I've heard on this show. And I was aware of it. I saw quotes of it. I wasn't prepared for how I would feel after seeing 2 minutes of it.
He wasn't prepared for how he would feel because he's offended. He's triggered that Sean Strickland doesn't support the LGBs and the TQs. Mr. Ruiz must be a big supporter, and that's his right. But why should Strickland have to support it? Why can't he say how he feels? Why did the woke reporter ask those ridiculous questions during a press conference for a sporting event? Those questions had no place at that venue.
That guy. Fuck him. He's a stupid motherfucker who is hateful.
Now, isn't that offensive? Fuck him. Fuck that guy. Why is he getting away with saying that? Wouldn't that speech trigger someone or offend someone? How dare you use that language when you talk about someone? These people are hypocrites. It's the same thing. He's saying, fuck that guy, he's hateful. Why isn't anybody getting pissed off about that? It's the same thing. You could say that that was hateful speech. I think it's funny because this guy is so offended by Strickland's words, but he could say it and everybody will be fine. They're hypocrites, okay? That's all these liberal people are, is hypocrites.
Fact that he's not suspended, where he'd be suspended in any other sport, hell, forget sport. In most companies, that shit would at the very least get you suspended, is an indictment on that company. It's publicly traded, by the way. So Endeavor and TKO, you should answer for this in ways that he hasn't had to in other incarnations of this sport.
That's why you platform it, though, Mike. The people need to hear. We're all in our silos. We're all speaking to our own people with our own set of facts. This stuff, it can't
I
just
don't need
exist.
a damn.
The meltdown is so unnecessary. Why isn't he suspended? That would be an indictment on a company. If that was private industry, at the very least, he would be suspended. Yeah, of course, because big corporations, a lot of them are woke. They're liberal, and they do whatever they want, and they get away with it because that's what the government wants. That's what Washington, D.C. wants. This is sports, and everyone knows that Dana White doesn't give a shit. As a matter of fact, there was a big Bud Light controversy, if you recall, with Dylan Mulvaney. Dana Smith has since taken on Bud Light as a sponsor for the UFC. Okay? So that's how woke, that's how much of a transphobe that Dana White is. He took Bud Light on as one of their main sponsors. So what these guys are saying carries zero weight. It's freedom of speech, end of story. We should be able to say what we want when we want. And if people are offended by it, oh well. We all grew up hearing the same thing. Sticks and stones may break your bones, but names will never hurt you. Well, in 2024, these woke liberal politicians, journalists, sports analysts, whatever you want to call these people, can't handle the fact that you should be allowed to voice your opinion no matter what. And if it offends someone, oh well, deal with it and move on. And one more time, Dana White should not tell his fighters what to say or what not to say because he believes in our God-given right of freedom of speech, the First Amendment. These people need to go back to the books and realize that all they're doing is making themselves look like fools. Because, like Rui said a few minutes ago, fuck that guy, fuck him. It's the same thing. It's nothing but hypocrisy, and that's why these people do this, because they know they're going to get that group of LBGTs and Qs to jump on board and clap and say, oh, yay, thank you. It's absolute nonsense, and this bullshit just needs to stop. Say what you want, look how you want, do what you want, call yourself what you want. No one cares, but we all don't have to go along with it. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.